Well, to know me, you have to know where I came from. And picture in your mind, small island in the Caribbean, white sandy beaches, blue turquoise water, sun shining, palm trees blowing, quaint little church, little bungalows surrounding. I was born in Aruba. I was born and raised in Aruba in the Caribbean. I lived there for almost 18 years, and it was almost a perfect life. It was idyllic. We didn't have crime. We didn't have drugs or alcohol, except the adults. And it was a lovely life. Very involved in church, hard worker at school, involved in Girl Scouts, and it was a wonderful life. I'm typing my senior paper, April 20th. Phone call rings at 11:45. I pick it up, I hear the doctor say to my mother, my father had just passed away. He had been in a coma for 20 days, had suffered 3 massive strokes. At that moment, my life changed. At that moment, I got on my knees and I said, God, I can't do this without you. And from that moment on, my childlike faith that I had became a real life commitment to Christ. So we moved to the States, to Montana. My mom settled my dad's estates. I got involved in her old Methodist church, went on a bike ride up the mountains, and tandem bikes, if you know what those are. And so I saw this tall, skinny guy with a crew cut. And he was talking, and well, we dated all that summer. I went away to college on the East Coast, and I can't explain. It has to be love. But I finished my college in Montana. The whole month of January, it was 32 degrees below zero. Now, from someone from the tropics, that's not ideal. So I was looking towards Hawaii for my first job. But night before we graduated, we became engaged. We had a great summer, planning a wedding. I was getting ready to go teach, and I had some tests run. Well, it came up that I had polycystic kidneys. My dad had them, my sister had been diagnosed with them, and I was next. You know, this was a life-changing moment. And again, I went to God and I said, I need help. I went to my fiance and I said, we're not going to have children. I can't bear them, and I can't pass this gene on. And so the guy that he says, well, nobody wants my genes either. So, we got married in December, my first year of teaching, and to tell you that God placed this godly man in my life, because 2 days after we were married, I came down with the mumps. And, you know, that should have told my husband what our life was going to be like. He stayed. We had a wonderful marriage. We got to know the city of Portland, but about 7 years later, he decided, you know, maybe it's time to start looking around adopting our children. We adopted our first daughter. 3 years later, we adopted our second daughter, and we just had the life I thought I wanted. Wonderful kids, husband, wonderful church. I stayed home with the girls to be a mother to them. It was wonderful. Well, his job ended, and he went to Texas, and we followed. And that was an experience, you know. We became close as a family because we didn't know anybody. We got into a great General Conference Baptist, not Southern Baptist Church, wonderful church. And, but that job was ending, so he applied to Austin for the city auditor, and he was also applying in California. Well, as we're making our minds up and praying on it, the auditor turned up dead in Lake Travis. So we decided God really wanted us to go to California, not take the job in Well, 34 years ago, last Sunday, November 1st, the girls, the dog, and I landed in Burbank, 12:30 in the afternoon. And it was just like it was, a beautiful day. We went to our house, we didn't have furniture, we started our new life. We found grace shortly after that, and a year later I joined choir. It was, good, everything's working out. My family, is just how we wanted it. Well, our younger daughter started showing some behaviors that weren't right. To doctors, and nothing was diagnosed. And the teachers at school, at the Meadows School, were wonderful. And we felt when she finished 6th grade, okay, she's going to do it. Well, and I'm not going to go into it, but the next 20 odd years was a living nightmare for us. And if any of you, and I know you have children that have walked away and made really bad choices, you know the pain that it caused. The only thing, my husband and I decided we had to be united or else our marriage wouldn't last. And we definitely were praying all the time. God showed His grace. He got us through some very, very difficult times. However, during that same time, some great things happened. We did get a grandson who came home from the hospital. He's still living with us. He's 18. My daughter, Kristen, who a lot of you know, got married to a wonderful man. We have 2 lovely grandchildren. We feel that God has blessed us during this difficult time. And then 1997, I was diagnosed with 2 cerebral aneurysms. And, that was a shock. Went to UCLA, they took care of it. But at the same time, all the medications and the dyes just made my kidneys fail. So a year later, I went on kidney dialysis. So my life was working as a teacher, going to dialysis 3 times a week, coming to choir for about half the hour and a half, and that was it. My husband took over the cleaning and the cooking and everything else. And I was on dialysis for about a little over 3 years. It was my 3rd year, went to a women's retreat out Oxnard from the church. If you remember Linda Hildebrand, and I'm not sure if Marilyn was there or not, and a lady named Debbie Mahoney. We all shared this little condo. And we, as women do, you talk, you share your lives, and you share. And I didn't think about anything, went back home, and in about December, she pulled me aside and she said, "Teri, I want to give you my kidney." Well, you can't, thank you does not cover that. And God covers us. He has just worked in our lives. And so, in February, on the 20th, 2002, Debbie and I went down to UCLA, and we both had an operation. She lost something and I gained something. So, I have never had a day that I'm not thanking God for that blessing, that He was so graciously bestowed on me. And it's been almost 19 years. I get infections, I go in the hospital, but I just feel He just covers me. There's a chorus we sing. And I don't know what the words, I just remember He covers me. And that is how I face each day. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I do know, several years ago, my younger daughter made some great choices in her life. And she's not perfect, she's bipolar, and she's a mess, but she's on the right road. She said to me, "Mom, you have to forgive me. You're a Christian." I said, "You're right, but I'm not ready." And she was right. And it took a lot of work on God's part to soften my heart. But he did. And that child has been forgiven. We love her. We don't always approve of what she does, but we love her. And God has carried us through all of these things. So I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but the one song that stays with me is I walk with you and I talk with you and I tell you you are my own, something like that. And that's what I do. I can either be in the garden or doing something else, and I just feel he is always with me. And so that's my story.
You know, I'm so glad that you get a chance to meet people in the choir this way. Should have done it many, many years ago. I'm glad that COVID has got people talking again. But I really feel that you would have no idea that this lady sitting over here somewhere has had those experiences, would you? And what does it do for you as you hear that? First of all, it makes you know that whatever your situation is, somebody else has got one and they're living through it. It's not like everybody around you has got things all together. Most of us are a mess. It's true, right? And yet at the same time, what bubbles up from that is a God who is perfect, and a God who's good, and a God who gives you grace in a lifetime where you, first of all, have to move from the tropics to Montana. I can't even believe that. How'd you do that?
Stay long.
But at the same time, go through life, first of all, I can't tell you how many people I talk to that, are having problems getting pregnant, or they can't get pregnant, and then they're thinking about adopting and all the things that go with that. Here's a resource right here, right? Here's somebody who's walked that. Here's somebody who's walked through a time with a prodigal child, and frankly still walking through it, right? And yet, how many years is that in choir now? Because you were here before I was.
Almost 33.
33 years in this choir, right? So, I just praise God for you, Teri. Thank you. I'm humbled that you're here. I am, and I'm grateful. I'm humbled that you're all here, but I'm just looking forward to having every one of you at some point get up here and just tell people, this is me, right? We're not looking for some tremendous story that says, I'm perfect in God. We're looking for stories that say God is perfect and I'm not. But by the grace of God, here I am. And I want to be with you. So thank you for that. Well, let's take just a moment to pray for a couple of things.